I have played New Piranha Bytes creation already for over 6 hours. In this time, I've collected several conclusions about ELEX II. I want to highlight that I'm speaking from position of fan of all previous games made by this studio, and in this material I will focus on differences from the first game. After spending a few hours with ELEX II, I think that someone who didn't like previous work of Piranhas with this game will be no different. This video won't contain any spoilers, as only gameplay and technical questions will be discussed. When developers presented first screenshots from ELEX II, I was not impressed. However, game looks much better in motion. Of course, this still isn't the quality which could possibly stand against AAA games, but graphics is acceptable and sometimes it can look quite pretty. I have impression that graphic style is little more toned, colors are less saturated, and due to this game looks more realistic than in some parts Plastic Risen and first ELEX. Also Night on Magellan seems more ominous than in first game. For me, it's the change for the better. The exceptions are extremely uneven in quality face models, some looks quite good, others just ugly. Although the look of hairs and birds was improved. Also, lip sync works surprisingly good.
Really? That's what he tells you. We'll talk about this later.
Unfortunately, developers haven't polished optimization. On forums, many gamers report issues with keeping stable frame rate by the game. Such problems also occurred during my play session. Lowering the graphics settings helped only a little, especially that framerate drops occurred mainly in locations such as towns and other smaller settlements, which could mean that problems are not caused by GPU but by RAM or CPU. Finally, I kept the game on high settings, as drops didn't bother me all that much, but if someone can stand occasional lagging, I would suggest waiting with purchase to the moment when the issues will be fixed. Also, during 6 hours I spent with ELEX II, it managed to crash completely already 2 times. However, I haven't run into game-breaking bugs in game itself. Only issues which keeps repeating are tied to fact that developers extended way in which Jax reacts to surrounding. So he can now slide off slopes, run over obstacles, etc. This system does not work perfectly and it can generate situations which throw out of experience. If creators will be able to fix this remains an open question. For me, way in which narration is guided by world itself and how this allows to immerse into game was always most appealing aspect of Piranha's games. When I was playing first ELEX, I tried not to use quest marks on map, if in dialogues it wasn't directly said that coordinates will be placed there. To this point in ELEX II I also didn't need to use such help. Also the knowledge about game's world, which I gained during the first game playthrough, could be used here to solve one quest with gaining access to one of bigger human settlements. We will see if completing whole game this way will be possible. It's hard for me to say anything about combat system at this point, as I haven't much occasions to fight yet. Combat seems more pleasant, character movement is smoother, and start of game is more balanced in terms of difficulty. The largest change in gameplay will be definitely improved jetpack. Most of improvements for this device can be unlocked relatively quickly. The Magellan seems to have more open, empty spaces, which makes world more realistic, and use of jetpack evens out the need for traveling longer distances. Speaking about music, I haven't listened to most of the tracks yet, so I will left my verdict to moment when I finish the game. However, tracks which I heard to this point seems quite nice, but aren't especially memorable either. Also, I think that some of them are just mixes of music from ELEX I. Unfortunately, sound effects are again quite bad. Some of the samples do not fit situations in which they are played, some are just poor quality. Voiceovers seems okay for what I heard to this point, at least in English version.
Yeah, they left me behind, but, well, I haven't been myself for a few days.
Cool.
Oh yeah, real cool.
ELEX II introduced a few smaller changes. It is now possible to place multiple own markers on map and by this memorize locations. For example, of chest which currently Jax is not able to open. When playing first ELEX, I used physical printed map of Magellan, so this change is very welcome for me. Additionally, there are no more torches in the game, and flashlight can be used instead, but I have mixed opinion about this change. Flashlight is comfortable to use as it's always available under a single button, but the light always comes out of camera and not character, what from logical point of view is obviously nonsense and seems to be unfinished. Collecting items also works better now, as all interactions such as talking or sleeping requires holding action button. So now, situations where unwanted interactions are used accidentally during picking up items around no longer occurs. Sadly, developers removed the option to change camera position. Some players already pointed this out. Maybe this will be fixed in one of the future patches. I know that despite of issues, I will have good time with ELEX II. I definitely want to continue progressing further and get to know the world that Piranhas had shaped. Wider analysis will be published when I will manage to complete the game, and for now, I plan to discover the rest of Magaland. See ya.